And good evening. Okay, I have got my favorite cup of decaf here, hazelnut. Oh, so good. Long day, wonderful day. Cheers, folks. All right, guys, I'm going to wait for everybody to jump on board. It has been a whirlwind few weeks, and I'm sure if many of you have been following on the social media pages have seen that. And I see some people jumping on board. Folks, if you're watching the replay, let me know. I do go back and I look at the comments and see who was watching after the show was over. And also, if you have any questions, those of you watching the replay, go ahead and hit replay in the comments section. But in the meantime, I'm going to say hello to my live audience. Hello, Harsh. Thank you for coming by. All right, guys, let's jump on board. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and more importantly, what's in your mug. All right, we got William Mays in the house. Welcoming you. There's Tom. Oh, hey, Tom. Long day in the clinic, so I'm going to be taking lots of drinks for my decaf coffee here. I am doing well, Harsh. I am so excited. And actually, guys, let me just make sure. I'm just going to check a couple things here, make sure things are on and working. All right, here we go. We're good. Okay, guys, sorry, just checking something out. We got Harsh from Richmond, Virginia. Jeffrey Cook. Oh, Jeffrey with apple juice. Jeffrey, I am so glad that you are doing better and that you've been cleared by your doctor. And we're going to be talking about some things tonight, Jeffrey, that I think are going to be applicable to you, that you're going to, hey, what's up, comadre? You are early today. I'm impressed. Hey, Diana, how are you? We got Andrea. She's got nothing in the mug. Don't want to be getting up all night. I don't blame you. And guys, there's many of you. We got Rita here from Michigan. Many of you who ordered my Below the Knee book. They finally came in from my publisher. There it is, guys. My Strong Body Below the Knee book. And guys, I'm just going to do a flip through so you can see, oh my gosh, all the colors, all the pictures. A lot of love, blood, sweat, and tears went into making this book, guys. And look, we even got Bob in here. I don't know if y'all can see that. Bob is making an appearance. He is everywhere in this book, giving his knowledge. All right. So we have the Above the Knee book coming out very soon. Many of you have asked about that, and I'm so excited to see you guys wanting that book. So I know, Andrea, you're going to be receiving it. You'll probably be one of the first ones receiving it, Andrea, because you live much, much closer to me. They just went out yesterday, and off they go. So many orders, and I really appreciate it, guys. I really appreciate all the support. Those of you who have subscribed to the Strong Body program already and you're using it and you're giving me your feedback and you're loving it, which makes me feel wonderful. Hey, Kay, she is finally home in Chile, Alaska. I'm glad to be back on the live show. I'm glad to have you back. You had quite the adventure abroad, Kay. Molly Matthews, thank you, Molly. And guys, I am going to be announcing soon, but I had one of my first clinics to purchase subscriptions for the Strong Body program. So what does this mean? This means a very special prosthetist clinic purchased a set of subscriptions. I have a special package for my clinicians, and this prosthetist clinic is going to be handing their patients free subscriptions. That's a prosthetist that has the best interests of their patients at heart. Just putting that out there, guys, just putting it out there. And many of you can take this to your prosthetist, your physical therapist, and let them know about it. And one of you actually bought a book for your physical therapist as a present, which I think is so wonderful. Anything that we can do to get the word out about this program and let clinicians know that it's available as a resource for those of you also in your support groups to let them know. So, all right, guys, let me read some of these comments. We got Frank Mena, we got my compadres in the house, we got Megan here. Jim, thank you so much, man. Thank you. We got Leanne. Marianne is here. Yes, Rita, I cannot wait to get the Above the Knee book. We are close to sending it off to printing and publishing, and it will be ready to go. All right, let's see. What do we got? Chuck. Oh, we got Chuck on the YouTube channel. Guys, as a reminder, I am on my YouTube channel as well. Some folks find it a little bit easier to log on to YouTube and watch me from there. And it's under the name Cosi Talks, pretty easy to find. And guys, later on this evening, I'm going to tell you how you can enter a giveaway for one of my Strong Body subscriptions. But in the meantime, I'm going to start doing what I love doing, which is answering your questions. Hey, Rustin's on board. Guys, if you did not check out my show from last week, my Veterans Day special, you need to go back and watch it. It's easy to find. I'm wearing an Army t-shirt, and I've got this really cool guy sitting next to me named Rustin, and he's an MMA fighter. He's a professional chef. He's an above the knee amputee. He is a veteran from the Army, and he has the most beautiful story. So Rustin said last week, what we all need is a little bit of Jesus and jiu-jitsu, and I couldn't agree with him more. Hey, Sandra from Gainesville. Let's see. Marianne says, I'm trying to figure out how to strengthen my shoulder stump in order to better lift my C leg higher as I step forward. Okay, so Marianne, one of those things involved, especially as a bilateral amputee, is the glutes, okay? The glutes are going to give you that power to really power that leg forward, okay? And we do have some exercises in the program that are geared for that. Hey, Rick Evans from Tennessee. I know Megan, right? He was amazing. And I've had so much beautiful feedback from everybody who watched that show. All right, guys, let's get to this first question. This first question was kind of cool. I don't think anybody's asked me this before, and this is actually more of a question for you all to put in the comments section. I want to hear about this. Brett asks me, just curious as to how many folks wear their prosthesis to bed when there's a severe weather watch. And I'm like, you know what? That's actually a really great question. I remember I was having a conversation with one of my dear friends, Robin. She's an AK herself, and wondering, like if there's an emergency in the house. And she expressed when she was first an amputee that it was a concern for her because she was still learning how to put her leg on quickly and how to get out of the house quickly. And I know here in Florida, we have hurricanes left and right in the summer and the early fall, and these hurricanes can come fairly quickly. So is that something any of you have ever considered or encountered or done? Those of you who live in tornado happy areas in the Midwest, where the tornado can just really, if you're having a tornado watch, that thing will come on you real quick. Do you wear your leg to bed if you're anticipating a weather emergency where you have to get up and go quickly? Or are many of you already accustomed to putting your leg on quickly? All right, so we've got Ben and Gregory on board. Ben Gregory says, audio and video kind of choppy. Oh, I apologize for that, Ben Gregory. A C leg. So Rita, a C leg is a leg that has a microprocessor knee, specifically created by Autobach. So they call it the C leg. It was actually one of the first microprocessor knees out on the market, and they have several generations. I believe the most current one is the C4 leg. So that's something that you'll hear quite often. What's up, Mark S? Mark, you got to tell me about how you had a good time at Krabby Bill's. So Robin says, yes, my house got struck by lightning and it was terrifying. So guys, I want to hear your comments on this. Molly says, most of my patients' emergencies are bathroom and I get weather too. So any of you have any more input on that? So I'm waiting to hear answers from you guys on that one. I'm going to answer another question. This is also a very good question. And I get this every once. Mark says, why not the A or the B leg? Mark, you're always my smarty pants. Jim Simpson says, don't wear the leg to bed, but it is close by my crutches and will go with me. All right, so this next question is, Kenneth asks, this may be a stupid question. No such thing as a stupid question. But how am I to properly weigh myself with only one leg and not great balance? And it's interesting because in my clinic today, I kept running into the scale. We have one of those traditional scales that you see in doctor's offices, and we have it in the back part of my clinic, and it was actually getting in my way. But there are a couple of ways of doing it. For someone who has really poor balance, like they cannot balance on the one leg at all, okay? I tell them to weigh their leg, including their liner, their socks, whatever's attached, if it's a suspension sleeve, any kind of equipment that goes with their leg, including their shoe, weigh the leg, right? Find out what all of that weighs on its own, okay? Then don the leg back on and get on the scale with the leg on, and you just subtract the weight from the leg. Okay, so that's the safest way to do it, And for folks who have the really poor balance, I usually put the walker and I have it straddle the weight, the scale itself, so they can use the walker to get onto the scale, and then they only have to let go of their hands right over the walker while I quickly weigh them. Okay, and then other folks, they do have very good balance. They'll use their crutches or their walker to hop onto the scale itself, and off they go. Okay, but usually the easiest thing to do, guys, is just to know what your leg weighs again, with socks and liner and everything, and just subtract it from there. Megan says, has anyone had any luck with Medicare getting a microprocessor knee? I've been denied by Blue Cross Blue Shield 3 times. Megan, there is someone that I can put you in touch with. Okay, so Megan, please send me an email. I'm going to put my email address down here, guys. And guys, this goes for everybody. On my website, you can send me a question and it goes straight to my email, or you can just write down this email and keep it for your reference. So Megan, send me an email and give me a nudge about this. There's someone I can put you in touch with who can help you. She's wonderful. She's wonderful. She's wonderful. Hey, Brian, we got David Frank. Oh, David, thank you. We got David Donahue in Newberry, South Carolina with his Coke. All right, here we go. Is it very choppy, guys? I do apologize. Sometimes my internet just goes a little sideways there. So, okay, next one. Okay. Here's one that I've gotten quite a bit, this question a lot, but I always like to answer it because there's always somebody who hasn't heard the information or somebody who might have something new to add. Hang on, my computer's trying to do something wacky. This person says, every night I take off my prosthetic and get in bed, it's as if all my nerves in that limb are just humming loudly. Not sure how else better to describe it. It's like they're all just on high alert and tingly. I aggressively squeeze and massage my limb, and it does intensify the feelings. Okay. So basically this happens. And it was actually, there was a patient in my clinic this week, and he even said, that when he is wearing his leg during the daytime and he wears his leg from the minute he gets up to the minute he goes to bed, he's fine. But then he takes his prosthesis off, and within an hour, that's when the phantom pains begin. Now, for this particular individual, she's not necessarily describing phantom pain, but she is describing just that nerve, the nerves being jangled, that jittery sensation. It's basically your nervous system that has been overstimulated. And because it's had the leg on for all of the day, now that you take the leg off, it doesn't know what to process, right? Just kind of an oversensitivity there. Is it choppy? Sorry, guys. So, there's medications that can be used to help with this, guys. Some people use Lyrica, some people use gabapentin, but I have many of my folks who they don't want to use those heavy duty medications. So one of the things that they can do is a shrinker, okay? So especially if you're somebody who feels good during the day, like it feels better to put your leg on, right? You're getting that compression into your limb, right? Having a well-fitting shrinker can help provide this compression, okay? And we actually use this sometimes on pediatric patients, that kind of compression therapy with compression garments for kids who have kind of trouble calming their nervous system down, just providing that compression. And again, the key is making sure your shrinker fits. Sometimes I'll have patients come in the clinic with a shrinker and it's completely like stretched out and loose and doesn't fit and it just slips right off. You need one that fits snugly, all right? And again, if there's an issue with oversensitivity in the limb, okay, that is something that can also be worked on with desensitization protocols. And I've kind of gone over those just a little bit as well, starting with massage, okay, using different textures. Casey, man, it's been a while since I've seen you on here. Glad to have you back. Using different textures. So for example, if you're somebody who's very sensitive to any touch on your limb, using a puff of cotton and brushing it on your limb, and then progressing to like a towel, terry cloth towel that has a little bit more texture on it. And if my occupational therapist is here still on board, she can probably give us a little more hints on that as well. Okay, let me just make sure I caught everything. Okay, sweet. Oh, you've been working. Well, good, Casey. I'm glad it's because you're working. Okay, here's a good one. Exercise. Somebody, Kevin, had tagged me on a post, and Kevin, forgive me, I couldn't find that post again, but I knew you were asking me questions about the accuracy of some of these exercise watches, as far as these fancy watches that tell you how your intensity is while you're working out. And guys, I'm a runner, I'm a swimmer, so I'm very athletic, and I like to measure my progress, especially if I'm training for a race. And there's different ways of doing this. The cool thing is a lot of these cardiac protocols, a lot of these ways to train your heart and become a better athlete can also be used when you are just starting out. Okay. A lot of the protocols I use on myself for training myself for running are protocols that I learned from working in the cardiac units, from working in cardiac transplant units. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. And that, this happened with one of my runners. A lot of times our athletes, they get really hyper focused on measuring their progress and making sure that their heart rate is just in the right place. And they get so focused on this that it just it detracts from just the basic simple steps, right? So unless you're an Olympic or Paralympic trainer, okay, if you follow these basic parameters, you can start to train your heart and work on your endurance, okay? So remembering, guys, that the heart is a muscle, right? And just like any other muscle in your body, in order for your heart to get stronger, you have to apply a little bit more of a load on it. But you can't apply too much of a load, because then obviously you'll injure yourself, right? Or if you apply too little of a load, meaning you don't work yourself out enough, you're not going to see any progress. So the question is, how do you know if you're working hard enough or working too hard? Okay. So for my patients who are really sick, my patients who have cardiac issues, patients who have COPD, a lot of trouble breathing, right? There's something called the Dyspnea Index, okay? And that's something that it's a tool that I use as a clinician, and it's a specialized tool, and we use that, and I teach my patients how to do that. And they do it by breathing and counting their breaths within a certain amount of time, okay? But most of my patients nowadays that I'm in the outpatient clinic, most of my patients are at the point where they're able to walk and their health status allows them to walk and even get back into adaptive sports. So I use the KISS rule, keeping it simple, stupid. That's how I like to do it when it comes to cardiac training, okay? There's little intensity, medium intensity, and ridiculous intensity. And I'm gonna tell you what that means, okay? So when you're at a little intensity, let's say you're walking, right? That you're walking at a pace that allows you to talk to your neighbor. You're able to hold a conversation. You're still walking, your heart rate is going up, but you still have enough breath in you to be able to talk to your neighbor, right? That's your little intensity. Your medium intensity, okay, is when you're starting to work out at an more intense rate, heart's pumping a little bit more, okay, and you're only able to answer yes, no questions, okay? And this is a tricky one, especially for runners. So it's that middle range, right? So for that part, again, you're working hard, but you're still able to answer yes, no questions, right? And then this super intense range, right? That's when you are working so hard, you cannot answer any questions. Like, that's it. If you answer a question, you're just going to fall, okay? So that's super intense. And we're getting into the anaerobic range, meaning your body is working really, really hard at this point, okay? I like to keep it simple like that, guys. And I do this with my patients who are starting their walking program and patients who are runners and training for a race in my clinic, okay? So again, the little intense, like I really got to come up with better names: small, medium, large, small intensity, medium intensity, sprint intensity. So with a little intensity, you're able to have a conversation. Medium intensity, you're only able to answer yes, no questions. And then highest intensity, you can't answer any questions, right? Andrea says, super intense, run from a bear or alligator. Only in Florida, right? Only in Florida would you have to worry about running away from an alligator. So I use this a lot. Now with runners, right? And I know I have a few runners out there in my audience, okay? We'll call this the recovery pace, right? Tempo pace is the middle one. So tempo pace is where you're running where you can still answer yes, no questions, but you're working hard. And then your sprint pace, where you're breaking out on an all-in sprint, okay? Most training programs, okay? Most training programs have you do a mix of everything, right? So much like your strength training programs, if you do the same strength training program every single day, every single time, eventually you're going to plateau and you're not going to make any progress. Same thing with your cardiac strengthening program, with your endurance programs, guys. And I run into this a lot. I'll get a patient in my clinic who says, I've been working so hard. I can walk once around my block, or I can walk into the grocery store, but then that's it. I'm winded and I can't seem to progress any further, right? And again, you have to know how to challenge your heart rate. You got to do some days that are low intensity, some days that are medium intensity, and some days that have a little bit of high intensity sprinkled in. Okay. So how do you know how much to do, right? So for a runner, for example, if you run 6 days a week, okay, you're actually going to do 4 days on low intensity. And this is something I've been reading a lot more on the literature as to how to really train a runner. And guys, like I said, this also can apply to those of you who are first starting out, right? So the more research they've done, the more they've realized that high intensity training is not necessarily going to get you faster results. If anything, it's going to burn you out, right? So 4 days of low intensity training. So if you're somebody who walks a mile, it could be that on 4 days, you're walking that mile at a nice, comfortable pace. Okay. Some people call that junk miles, right? Because it doesn't seem like you're working very hard, but you are reaping those cardiac benefits. And then 1 day for a tempo walk, meaning you kick it up just a little bit, just enough where you're just answering those yes/no questions. And it's going to be a shorter amount of time. And then 1 day where you do a sprint. So for some of you like me, that might mean doing 4 miles where I do quarter-mile sprints, right? And for some of you, that might mean that in your 1 mile walk, you're doing a quarter of a mile at a fastest pace as you can go. Okay, does that make sense? And guys, again, this is where working with a physical therapist to help you fine-tune this program can really be beneficial. Okay, so getting back to the watches, a lot of people are, I love my watch. For me personally, I like the Garmin. I've been using Garmin since I was in college. It's just the watch brand I prefer, the one I'm most familiar with. But there's a lot of great options out there on the market. Okay, so when I'm using my watch, especially if I get a new watch, I try to find out, what is this watch good for? Okay. And I know that with my watch, it's very good at and very accurate at tracking my heart rate. Okay. So I can look at my heart rate and help determine how intense I'm going, and it's pretty accurate. But what I've noticed is it's not very good at calculating my distance, and it's not very good at calculating the pace. Okay. So again, whenever I'm on a workout and I'm going, if I'm working too hard, am I not working too hard? I think back to, okay, am I doing a low, medium, or high intensity workout? And I go by how tired I am in comparison to the perceived rate of exertion. All right. I've been talking a lot. Let me go back here and read some of these comments. Okay. So going back to the person who was having issues at night, with the sensitivity in their limb, Andrea, our occupational therapist, says, usually suggests massage, ice, reposition, exercise to try for the phantom, which people would try harder with massage. I agree. And it really can, especially with the desensitization, it helps improve circulation, guys. Also with certain therapeutic massages, it can help break up any myofascial scar tissue that's lying underneath the skin that could be irritating as well. Hey, Daniel, glad you could join us. Kay says you want to work up to various textures, start very soft and move to more noxious textures. There's my other OT right there. Start with cotton balls to soft cloths to washcloths to wet washcloths that's been dried. Filling a small cloth bag with things like rice, popcorn kernels. That's a good one, Kay. And rub them around the residual limb. There are many ways to do this, but the goal is just to slowly increase the texture until you can tolerate it. And yes, guys, and when you're doing these desensitization protocols, you don't need to be very aggressive. It can be just a few minutes in the morning and a few minutes in the afternoon and evening. And just as long as you're being consistent, okay? Let's see, Brian says, I use a silicone disc in the bottom of my liner for cushion on the front bottom bone. It stays dry and can crack. Is the VitalFit products you recommend I try? Absolutely. And I actually have them sitting like right here. I love my skincare, and I actually had a new patient in today, and she got the whole Cosi Talks special on how to take care of your skin. Beautiful patient. So guys, these are really lovely products. I use them pretty much for all of my patients. And they just have everything you need. They have a cleanser, they have a daytime and a nighttime moisturizer, and then my personal favorite, the liquid to powder lotion. And with many of actually all of my patients, I recommend that they use it on their residual limb and that they use it on their sound limb as well, especially folks who have lost their limb due to vascular disease or to diabetic complications, right? Because we want to keep the skin super healthy on the sound limb as well. All right, let me see if I can get through these. Mike says, new amputee still in rehab. This link is much appreciated. Thank you for joining in, and don't be shy. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the comment section, or you can send me an email. Joan says, aloha. So glad I tuned in tonight. All right. Trying my blade out tomorrow. Yeah. Awesome. Rita says, I can't even walk without my walker. And Rita, I've placed people on walking programs with a walker before. Okay. So when I talk about doing cardiac training, I'm talking about people who are moments away from having a heart transplant through the high-end athlete. Okay. The concepts of how to train the heart are the same, right? Just the intensity is what you gotta, fine tune a little bit and adjust to every person's ability. Okay. So Rita, you can be put on a walking program with your walker. That's how you got to start, right? Okay. And then again, Rita, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at the subscription, but in the subscription, I have a lot of balance exercises, and guys, these are exercises that I use for my patients in the clinic to help them progress from a walker to a cane and sometimes to walking independently. Ben Gregory asks, is there something I can suggest for cardio intensity workout for bilateral BK without prosthetics? Yes. You have to get creative sometimes, Van Gregory. My favorite tool, the hand bicycle. It is amazing. One of my very first bilateral above the knee patients, this was back like 18 years ago. He was about 60 to 70 pounds overweight. And we had to get him to lose weight because he couldn't fit into the stubbies that he was going to be using. It was just, he had too much soft tissue, he had too much weight. So we had to get creative, and we put him on a weight loss program that involved a lot of muscle strengthening and cardio using the hand bicycle. And if you can believe it, Van Gregory, he lost 60 pounds. 60 pounds. I am not exaggerating. So the hand bicycle for me, it's wonderful. I've had some patients that they get really creative because if they can't afford a hand bicycle, they actually get their normal bicycle, the one that they have at home, and they figure out, I still don't know how they do it. They flipped the bicycle upside down and they use the pedals with their hands. They showed me a picture of this once and I'm like, okay, that's a great way. The other way, the wheelchair. Your wheelchair, Ben Gregory. I had the same patient that I just mentioned who lost the 60 pounds. The hand bicycle was in the clinic. So on the 2 days that he was at home, he would do laps around his neighborhood in his wheelchair. And he had nice strong arms, nice strong shoulders. And he would just make sure he was monitoring his heart rate to make sure he was working hard enough, right? He was in the light, medium, and high intensity kind of scale, and go. Okay, so there are ways that you can get creative and do cardio. The other one is swimming. Now, granted, I live in Florida, so swimming for us is year round. But if you have an indoor pool where you live, or if you happen to live in a warm area where your pools stay open all year round, swimming is a phenomenal cardiac exercise. Tom says, watch out for those sharks. All right. Liz, hola. I'm so glad you're here, Liz. All right, guys, there was one more question. Here's a good one. So this person asked in her support group, after amputation rehab, getting your prosthesis and rehab again, how often do you fall down and what is usually the main cause? Okay. So guys, that's a big question with lots of answers. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet. But basically, that's one of the questions I ask my patients when they first come into my clinic is, have they had any falls? And if they have had any falls, how often is it? Is it once a week, once a month, a couple times a month, every day? And I usually, once I find out if the person has had no falls, then awesome, we move on. But if they have had some falls, then I start asking more questions. Where were you when you fell? Was it a loss of balance and then you just kept falling? Did you just walk into something, right? And your prosthesis hit something and then you tripped from that? Is it a certain part of your home or a certain place in the community that you find that you consistently lose your balance? Because kind of putting all these pieces of the puzzle together helps me see what is causing the loss of balance. You know, is it a muscle weakness where a knee will just give out and the person just loses their balance because they are so weak with their muscles? Is it because they don't know how to activate, or more importantly, how to stabilize their knee, whether it's a microprocessor knee or a mechanical knee? Is it because their proprioception, my favorite word, is not developed? So if they turn their head and look in a different direction, there goes their balance, right? I've called it the pretty girl test. A pretty girl walks by and you look at her, right? And then you lose your balance. That's an indication that the proprioception and balance are way off, and we've got to start working on that, okay? Lots of different things. Another big one, and this is one I find in my aging population, light. Light. And I remember that was actually a question on my test back in PT school. What is the most common cause, at least back then, what was the most common cause for falls in patients, in elderly patients? And it was because of poor lighting in their home, right? Visual problems. When was the last time they had their vision checked? Medications, and that's another big one, right? Patient comes in, tells me that they're falling a lot. I'm going to be checking their medication list because some of these medications may have those side effects. Some of these medications, if you're starting to lose your balance, it'll indicate that the medication you're using is not working for you. Okay, so lots of different reasons that balance occur, and finding the root cause of that reason as to why you're falling is going to help you address how to solve it. Because a lot of these things can be resolved, guys, with very simple therapy techniques. Molly says that was a sneeze. Okay. All right. So guys, I have a special giveaway today. So today, or not today, last week, I received a beautiful card from a very, very special family who wishes to remain anonymous. This particular family does not have any ties to the limb loss community. They don't have a loved one who is an amputee. They are not involved in healthcare where they work with amputees. They are just a family who started watching the show, and they sent a beautiful donation to help support the show. And guys, I can't tell you, I'm looking at the card over there. I can't tell you how much that meant to me to know that even folks who are not part of the limb loss community are watching the show. So in honor of this person with this beautiful donation that they give, I will be giving away a Strong Body subscription. So for those of you who haven't been listening for the past couple of weeks and seeing all the craziness that's going on my site, I created an online exercise program, fitness program. So there's over 150 exercise videos on this website for above the knee and below the knee amputees. And it covers arm strengthening, leg strengthening, core strengthening, balance, and flexibility. So everything you guys hear me talking about on the show, there's 150 plus videos with all of these exercises, okay? And I've shown the website. I'm actually gonna put the website on right here because it's my show, and I'm going to shamelessly plug this. You're all excited about it. Okay? All right, so there's the website, guys. There's an annual subscription, 2 different options for payment, and there's also the book, which I showed off earlier in the show. And this book has all of the exercises that are in those videos. I know, okay, it's an amazing family, and I can't tell you how much I want to, just shout their name out, but they are as humble as they are generous. So they asked me not to name them. Oh, you can't hear me. Can anybody else hear me? Can anybody else hear me? Yes? No? Maybe so? Okay. I can't tell. I have a gremlin in my computer this evening. Okay, you guys can hear me. Okay. So, Kay, I'm not sure why you can't hear me. Hopefully you can clear that out. Thank you, guys. You can hear me. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So, guys, getting back to the giveaway. So in honor of this person and as a thank you for helping support the show, I will be doing a Strong Body giveaway. Super easy, guys. All you have to do, okay, is go to my Instagram. It's under Cosi Talks, right? And follow me And then I'm going to post, as soon as the show is over, I'm going to post a crazy picture of me going like this, right? Something crazy or silly. Tag someone in that picture. Okay. And there were some of you who participated in part of this raffle a week ago, and I'm going to include your names in that as well. Okay. So super easy, guys. Go to Instagram, follow me on Instagram, tag a friend in the picture that I'm going to post as soon as we close the show down for tonight. Sounds good? All right. And next Wednesday, I will announce who the winner is on my Thankful Cosi Talks Thanksgiving special. So that's another homework assignment I have for you guys. For the past 2 years, this will be year 3. Obviously, my show on a Wednesday night falls on the day before Thanksgiving. And I've done posts where I've asked you to tell me what you are thankful for. And I've had some of the most beautiful, beautiful responses. And I do read them to the show audience on Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. So I will be posting that. Keep your eyes peeled for that. I think in these times, we all have something to be grateful for. And it's important to remind each other about that. So, guys, I will be signing off this evening. As always, guys, thank you for letting me be a part of your lives. If I missed your question, or if you have a question for me, I'm going to put my email up one more time. You can email me directly and I will answer your question. All right, guys, don't forget, go to Instagram, follow me, tag a friend, check out my strong body, grab a book, all that kind of good stuff. All right, guys, I will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel.